Sin City Stories contains explicit content that may be disturbing to some listeners, including strong language, graphic details, and depictions of violent crimes. Listener discretion is advised. In the early hours of October 1st, 1993, a quiet but daring heist unfolded on the Las Vegas Strip. What began as an ordinary day at the Circus Circus Hotel turned into a high-stakes mystery that would take years to unravel, forever changing the way casinos approach their security. In a heist that seemed straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster, over $3 million in cash was stolen from an armored truck without a single alarm being raised or a single shot being fired. It wasn't until hours later that anyone realized the money was gone, and so were the culprits. Since its founding on May 15, 1905, Las Vegas has gone from being a small railway stop in the middle of the Mojave Desert to a glittering neon oasis of gambling, shopping, fine dining, and entertainment, welcoming tens of millions of visitors from around the world every year. Through its relatively short history, the city has been witness to over a century's worth of murder, robberies, arson, and mayhem. And that's what we're here to share with you. In collaboration with mayheminthedesert.com, this is Sin City Stories, Vegas True Crime. The sordid tales behind the stranger-than-fiction history of fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. The Circus Circus Hotel and Casino, a vibrant and whimsical fixture on the Las Vegas Strip, has captivated visitors since its grand opening in 1968. Its circus-themed attractions, family-friendly atmosphere, and carnival-like charm have made it one of the most distinctive casinos in Las Vegas history. Through the decades, Circus Circus has survived economic storms, evolving customer preferences, and fierce competition. The visionary behind Circus Circus was Jay Sarno, a daring and innovative entrepreneur who was already well known for developing another iconic Las Vegas resort, Caesar's Palace. Sarno was a real estate developer with a background in the motel business, but his true passion was for creating grand, immersive experiences for visitors. He believed Las Vegas needed something different, an attraction that was accessible to all, not just high rollers. Sarno's idea for Circus Circus came from his observation that many of the visitors to Las Vegas were families who wanted to enjoy the spectacle of the city but might not be able to afford the high-end, adult-oriented entertainment of other casinos. Sarno envisioned a property that combined the excitement of gambling with the fun of a circus, making it appealing to both adults and children. On October 18, 1968, Circus Circus opened its doors to the public. Unlike other casinos, which often focused on luxurious interiors and upscale themes, Circus Circus broke the mold with its exuberant carnival atmosphere. Its exterior, resembling a giant pink and white circus tent, was immediately eye-catching. Inside, the casino was full of vibrant colors, circus imagery, and live entertainment. True to Sarno's vision, it featured acrobats, clowns, trapeze artists, and midway games alongside slot machines and card tables. This made Circus Circus stand out from its competition. Most casinos relied solely on their gambling floors to entertain guests, but Circus Circus combined gaming with constant live performances, creating a dynamic, exciting environment. Despite not initially having a hotel on the property, Circus Circus quickly attracted large crowds, and it became a significant success, and as the years progressed, Circus Circus expanded its offerings. In 1972, it added a large hotel tower, finally becoming a full-fledged resort. The addition of the hotel allowed the property to compete more effectively with other casinos that offered both gaming and lodging. Later, Circus Circus would add more hotel towers, expanding its capacity to house thousands of guests. By the 1980s, Circus Circus had cemented its place as a major player in the Las Vegas casino industry. The property continued to grow, with the addition of even more new hotel towers, restaurants, and expanded gaming areas. One of the most significant expansions occurred in 1983, when William Bennett and William Pennington purchased Circus Circus from Jay Sarno and his business partner Stanley Mullen, following several years of only leasing the property. Bennett and Pennington had a vision to expand the brand further, and under their leadership, Circus Circus Enterprises was formed, leading to the development of several other properties, including the Excalibur and the Luxor. In the 1980s and early 1990s, Circus Circus became known for its consistent profitability. Its ability to attract a broad range of guests, from budget travelers to families to gamblers, allowed it to thrive even during periods when other casinos struggled. The addition of Adventure Dome in 1993, which featured roller coasters, water rides, and other theme park attractions, only enhanced its appeal, further distinguishing it from the competition. Heather Tallchief was born on January 12, 1972 in Buffalo, New York. She grew up in a working-class family, the daughter of a Vietnam War veteran who suffered from PTSD. Her childhood was marked by instability and hardship, with her father's mental health issues and alcohol abuse casting a shadow over her formative years. These early experiences left a lasting impact on Tallchief, and she struggled to find direction in her life. After high school, Tallchief drifted from one job to another, seeking a sense of purpose, but often feeling lost. By the time she was in her early 20s, Tallchief had entered a period of deep disillusionment. Like many young people, she longed for adventure, excitement, and a way to break free from the monotony of her life. In the early 1990s, Tallchief moved to San Francisco, where she sought new opportunities and a fresh start. It was there, in the Bay Area, that her life would take a dramatic and ultimately destructive turn when she met Robert Solis. In stark contrast to Tallchief's uncertainty and lack of direction, Robert Solis was a man with a dark and dangerous past, driven by a clear sense of self. Born in the mid-1940s, Solis had a long criminal history. But he was not just any criminal. Solis had once been involved in far-left militant activities and was linked to bank robberies, armed attacks, and other politically motivated crimes. In 1969, Solis was convicted of killing a police officer during an armed robbery and was sentenced to life in prison. However, after serving some of his time, Solis managed to escape from prison in 1979, becoming a fugitive. He lived on the run for over a decade, evading authorities and maintaining a low profile. During this period, he refined his skills as a master manipulator, blending into society while hiding his criminal past. By the time Solis met Tallchief, he'd adopted new identities and had become adept at convincing people to trust him. He was intelligent, articulate, and charismatic, traits that made him appealing to those searching for meaning and purpose. However, beneath his charm lay a deeply manipulative personality. Solis had a way of identifying and preying on vulnerable individuals, drawing them into his orbit and using them to fulfill his own ambitions. Tallchief and Solis met in San Francisco in 1991, when Tallchief was in her early 20s and Solis was in his late 40s. Despite the significant age difference between the two, Solis quickly became a dominant figure in Tallchief's life. For Tallchief, Solis represented excitement, rebellion, and a break from the conventional path she'd been on. Solis portrayed himself as a revolutionary thinker, someone who had rejected the norms of society and lived by his own rules. To a young woman searching for direction and meaning, this was an attractive proposition. Solis painted himself as a figure who had been wronged by the system, a victim of political persecution rather than a violent criminal. At the same time, Solis was a master manipulator who knew how to exploit Tallchief's vulnerabilities. He recognized her need for guidance and approval, and he positioned himself as the person who could provide just that. Tallchief, who had long struggled with feelings of inadequacy and confusion about her place in the world, found comfort in Solis's strong personality and seemingly clear worldview. Solis exerted an overwhelming influence over Tall Chief, molding her worldview and convincing her to participate in illegal activities. Under his tutelage, she began to adopt his cynical view of the world, one that rejected the idea of working within the system. Solis convinced her that they were outsiders and that the only way to succeed was to take what they wanted through force and deception. For Tall Chief, Solis's attention and validation were intoxicating. He made her feel important, capable, and part of something larger than herself. In many ways, Solis became a mentor to Tall Chief, guiding her through a transformation that would ultimately culminate in her involvement in one of the most cunning casino robberies in the history of Las Vegas. The 1993 Circus Circus heist was not an impulsive crime. It required months of careful planning and surveillance, making it one of the most sophisticated robberies of its kind. The masterminds behind the heist knew they were dealing with a highly secure environment. After all, Las Vegas casinos are infamous for their tight security measures, including extensive camera surveillance, armed guards, and highly protected money handling operations. Yet the criminals found a vulnerability they could exploit. The key to the heist's success lay in gaining access to the armored truck that transported large sums of cash between the casino and the bank. These trucks were responsible for moving millions of dollars on a daily basis, making them a tempting target for anyone daring enough to attempt a robbery. However, robbing an armored truck in Las Vegas was no simple task. The trucks were heavily fortified, with locked compartments, bulletproof glass, and armed guards constantly on alert. Therefore, in order to pull off the heist, the criminals needed an inside person, someone with access to the truck and the trust of its operators. The planning phase likely involved weeks of surveillance on the Circus Circus Hotel and Casino itself. The perpetrators would have been studying the casino's daily operations, security procedures, and the movement of money. The heist was designed to take advantage of a routine cash transport between the casino and a nearby Loomis armored truck, which was responsible for moving money to a secure location. The criminals would have to time their operation perfectly to coincide with the moment when the money was being loaded into the truck, and with minimal disruption to the casino's daily activities. On the morning of October 1st, 1993, the plan was set in motion. The day began like any other at Circus Circus, with visitors flocking to the casino floor to gamble and to enjoy the various attractions. No one had any inkling that by the end of the day, millions of dollars would vanish without a trace. On that day, a Loomis armored truck arrived at Circus Circus as part of its routine cash collection duties. Heather Tall Chief, who had been hired as a driver for the armored truck company, was responsible for driving the vehicle and overseeing the pickup of the cash. At approximately 9:30 a.m., the truck was loaded with over $3 million in cash from the casino. The money, stored in large bags, was placed in the back of the truck, as it had been many times before. There was nothing unusual about the operation. Everything appeared to be routine. This was one of the key factors that allowed the heist to proceed so smoothly. No one suspected that anything was amiss. The casino's security personnel, as well as the employees of the Loomis company, trusted that the money would be transported safely, as it had been countless times before. However, what no one realized was that the truck was not going to make it to its destination. Instead of following the usual route to the Loomis vault, the armored truck simply disappeared. Tall Chief drove the truck away from Circus Circus and into the city, where she and her accomplice executed the final steps of their carefully crafted plan. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of the Circus Circus heist was how long it took for anyone to notice that something was wrong. In the chaotic environment of a busy casino, where millions of dollars are handled every day, the fact that a single armored truck didn't show up as scheduled didn't raise any immediate alarms. The criminals had exploited a small gap in the system, a gap that relied on trust, routine, and the assumption that everything was proceeding as usual. For hours after the truck left Circus Circus, there was no indication that anything was amiss. The money handlers of the casino assumed the cash had been safely transported, while the armored truck company did not immediately realize that the vehicle had gone off course. This period of confusion worked to the criminals' advantage, giving them a significant head start in their escape. When the truck failed to arrive at its destination later in the day, alarm bells finally went off. By that point, however, the money and the truck were long gone, and the criminals who were responsible had disappeared into thin air. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department was notified, and a massive manhunt was launched, but the lack of immediate suspicion had given the thieves a critical advantage. They had hours to cover their tracks before anyone realized a crime had even taken place. When it became clear that the truck and its contents had been stolen, the full scale of the heist came to light. More than $3 million in cash had been taken, making it one of the largest casino robberies in Las Vegas history. The majority of the stolen money had come from Circus Circus's weekend takings, which included both cash from the casino's gaming operations and cash collected from its restaurants, retail shops, and entertainment venues. Authorities were stunned by the audacity of the crime, especially given the sheer amount of money involved. And the fact that the armored truck had vanished without anyone noticing was almost as shocking as the theft itself. Investigators quickly began piecing together the events of the day, but they found little to go on. Security footage from the casino showed the armored truck departing without any sign of trouble, and there were no eyewitness reports of anything suspicious happening in or around the truck. The fact that the criminals had pulled off the heist in broad daylight without any violence or overt disruption added to the mystery. This was not a chaotic or violent robbery, but rather a meticulously planned and executed operation, one that had exploited the predictable routines of the casino and the armored truck company. The criminals had made off with the money cleanly, leaving no immediate evidence behind. The 1993 Circus Circus heist was one of the most carefully orchestrated and successful casino robberies in Las Vegas history. Heather Tallchief and Robert Solis's ability to steal over $3 million in cash without drawing attention to themselves, combined with their deep understanding of the casino's operations and the armored truck's routine, made the heist both bold and ingenious. And the fact that the crime went undetected for hours gave the pair the advantage they needed. They were able to get a leg up on investigators and go into hiding, while the authorities were left scrambling, trying to catch up to them. To learn more about this Las Vegas true crime story and many others, visit mayheminthedesert.com and get yourself acquainted with the darker side of Sin City's history. Sin City Stories, Vegas True Crime is based on material researched and written by Meagan and Anthony Smith and is adapted for podcast, edited, and narrated by Jeff Walker. Sin City Stories, Vegas True Crime is a co-production of Mayhem in the Desert and Walker New Media. Copyright 2024.